You ever wake up one morning, coffee barely in hand, and realize the universe has picked you for its next round of nonsense? Yeah, that was me the day I found my water troughs bone dry, so dry, you'd think the earth itself was mad at me. No, what really did me in was twisting that old barn spigot and getting nothing but a hollow gasp of air like the place was mocking me. At first I tried to be rational, maybe a busted pipe, maybe some dumb prank, maybe a regular old fluke, but deep down I already knew better. I stomped down to the edge of my land where the old municipal water box squats, half buried under weeds, and there it was, a shiny new lock factory fresh and stamped with the HOA's initials hanging off the main like it owned the place. That lock, that was my welcome to war letter, courtesy of Clearview Meadows. See, I'd lived on this ground for 22 years, ever since I'd left the service, 3 years dodging mortars in Afghanistan, 2 sweating it out in Kuwait, always dreaming of a quiet patch of dirt to call my own. I wasn't asking for much. Just a place to raise animals, plant tomatoes, and, be left the hell alone. But then the county got clever, redrew the boundaries, and before I could say hell no, my side of the road was annexed right into Clearview Phase 3. Suddenly I was under the thumb of some HOA board that wouldn't know a chicken from a lawn flamingo. They started with little stuff noise warnings for my rooster complaints about the smell of goats. But locking my water, that was a new level of petty. That was an act of war. I called the water company hoping for sanity. They handed me a script straight out of a Kafka novel. Sir, as per the HOA, your agricultural use is now non-essential. I nearly crushed my phone. That night I was rationing water from backup barrels, watching the cows low louder than usual, the goats pacing the fence and thinking, yeah, this is what they want. Pressure. Misery. For us outsiders to pack up and leave. You learn in the Army not to lose your head in a fight. So I went to the garage, dusted off old binders, deployment logs, water systems, certificates, my EPA badge from back before I ever wore fatigues. Most folks didn't know I'd worked for the Department of Water Resources or helped write part of the EPA's compliance training. I hadn't needed that knowledge for years, but staring at that smug little lock, I realized it was time to remember who I was before I became the old goat guy. Next morning, my tomato vines were already withering. Bees skipping blossoms, sun-baking the soil to death. I sat under the old elm tree, scribbling in a legal pad, and I decided right then if the HOA wanted a fight, they were about to get the kind they'd never seen. I shaved, put on a proper shirt, and marched up to the HOA Operations Center, which, let's be real, was just a tarted-up model home with a flag out front and fake plants in the lobby. The receptionist looked at me like I'd tracked mud on her grandmother's rug. "Do you have an appointment?" she asked. "No, but I've got a dry farm and a locked water valve, so we should probably talk," I said, flashing a smile that even I didn't believe. Eventually, Karen Mitchell, the HOA president, ushered me in. If you ever wanted to meet the archetypal Karen here, she was perfectly pressed. Pearls on hair, frozen in time eyes, like blue steel. She went right into her pitch. "Your property's part of Phase 3 now. We have resource allocation standards. Residential homes come first. I'm sure you understand." "No, actually I don't," I said, and my voice was colder than hers. "That valve feeds my land. You're not conserving. You're controlling." Her lips curled into something like a smile. "You signed the easement at annexation. I didn't sign anything." "Well, someone did." She shrugged, and that's when my gut twisted because I realized she was only half bluffing. Walking out, I passed the HOA sprinklers running full blast hydrangeas, getting more water than my entire herd. I went home and spent the afternoon hauling water up from the stream, sweating bullets, thinking of every inch of land I might lose if I gave up. That night I dug through every document I had, deeds, water rights, zoning maps. Nothing useful. I wasn't ready to quit. I unlocked my old cabinet and pulled out my federal manuals and that EPA badge. Karen wanted a war. She'd picked the wrong veteran. Third day without steady water, I watched my oldest goat, Ruthie, fade away in the sun. Her water dish bone dry. That did something to me, lit up something primal. That evening, HOA drones circled overhead pretending to assess landscaping, but really they were vultures waiting for something to die. Next morning, a flyer appeared in my mailbox, painting me as the resource abuser. The HOA wasn't just cutting off my water, they were laying the groundwork to destroy my reputation. At the diner, neighbors whispered, "That's the guy hoarding water. Karen says he's sabotaging the system." My blood boiled. Not at their words I had heard worse in war, but at the calculated smear campaign. Back home, I filmed everything: dead plants, suffering animals, time-stamped every moment. Day 4, no water, no communication. This is what abuse of power looks like. Then I sent it all to the EPA. The next morning, I found Ruthie dead. I buried her beneath the sycamore hand, shaking heart turning to stone. This was more than inconvenience. This was theft. This was domination, forcing people like me off the land we'd built our lives on. I wrote up a dossier, photos, maps, quotes, old and new, sent it to Derek Vaughn, an EPA guy I'd known back in the day. Subject: illegal HOA interference with federal agricultural water rights. Thursday's town hall meeting was a circus: SUVs, lawn chairs, bored kids sipping free water while my animals went thirsty. When they opened the floor, Karen gave me 2 minutes. That's all I needed. My land's been dry for 5 days. My livestock suffering. My goats dead. And here's proof you broke state water code and rerouted my supply to your lawns and dog parks. For a second, the room just gaped. Karen tried to cut me off, but I kept going, USB in hand, laying out the facts. This isn't just unethical, it's criminal. And the feds are on it. People clapped, quiet but real. Karen's face went gray. Afterward, Marcus, the HOA landscaper, pulled me aside. Karen told me to invoice extra hours for hand watering because the sprinklers lost pressure right after they locked your valve. He handed me proof in writing. Back home, I compiled everything: photos, test results, work orders, sent it to the EPA. That night, for the first time in days, I slept. Next morning, a state water agent showed up, badge on his chest. I walked him through every pipe, every crooked valve, every fake invoice. "This is textbook unauthorized diversion," he said, and my chest loosened just a bit. He handed me a cease and desist order for the HOA, real tangible justice right in my hands. Then the feds came. 2 agents, one tall, one with mirrored glasses, toured the property, snapping photos, asking sharp questions. When Morales, the agent, saw my files, she nodded. "You were enforcement," I told her, state then, federal then Army. "Your documentation is better than most field reports," she said. They told me the HOA had forged compliance paperwork. My signature on the annexation didn't match any records. The room at the town hall went wild when that came out. A day later, official placards went up on the clubhouse. All HOA operations shut down pending federal review. Karen was pacing out front, wild-eyed, talking into her phone, her composure finally gone. I didn't feel triumphant, just focused. I wrote up everything: sworn affidavit, timeline proof. Sent it to every authority I could, and even some news outlets just in case. The story hit the news. Photos of Ruthie, my dead goat, broke people's hearts. Neighbors came by with bread rain barrels, offers of help. One even brought a photo of Ruthie from last spring. "We never knew," she said, voice trembling. I just nodded. "The truth travels," I told her. Local Facebook groups turned on Karen. HOA recall vote passed by a landslide. Karen out, 2 board members out with her. A for sale sign went up in front of Karen's place before the week was over. Last thing I got from her was a venomous little letter about symptoms, not disease. I tossed it in the fire. No more room for poison in my life. The county dissolved the HOA, installed a new council, and put utility access under county management. The park became Ruthie's. Meadow kids play there now, where sprinklers once ran on stolen water. Marcus started a YouTube channel. The ex-HOA president ran for the hills, and I started getting calls to speak at land rights events. Some days I stand in my kitchen, turn on the tap, and let the water run. Just for the sound of it, just to remember what it means. Not victory, but justice, flowing steady and true. People ask me what I'd do different. My answer's simple: never underestimate what a community can do when they finally see the truth. And if you're wondering if one person can make a difference, we'll ask the folks at Clearview Meadows. Or better yet, ask Ruthie. Her story's written in every glass of water I drink. So let me ask you, where does justice begin? Is it in the courts, the news, the courtroom? Or is it right here in the small choices we make when no one's watching? When all we've got left is the truth and a little patch of land to defend? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell me what justice means to you. And if you've ever fought a quiet war for what's right, you're not alone. Not anymore.